Not all pain screams. Some turn into silence, others into overwhelming strength. Some people have learned to wear calm faces, to nod and smile, all so they don't worry a soul. But beneath the composure, the quiet resolve, the fierce independence, there's a story waiting to be told. Carl Jung once said, "What is not brought to consciousness comes to us as fate." And here, in the quiet corners of the psyche, pain that wasn't understood, wasn't held, begins to shape behavior in ways even the sufferer doesn't recognize. The world sees the surface, the controlled gestures, the steady voice, but rarely notices the tremors beneath. Almost no one sees the full truth. They judge the mask, not the wound. Imagine carrying a weight no one else can see. Imagine waking each day with an invisible anchor tied to your chest, a heaviness that makes even small joys feel like work. Some scars don't show on the body. They live in the hesitation before a laugh, the way trust takes years to build but seconds to shatter, the urge to vanish even in a room full of voices. These wounds leave no marks, but they reshape the soul. Quietly, they alter how someone moves through the world. Old pain doesn't announce itself. It becomes a way of being. Silence where words should flow. Walls where there was once openness. Sometimes the person forgets they're carrying anything at all. They only know they're tired. That living feels heavier than it should. Jung warned us. The greatest burden a child must bear is the unlived life of the parents. When pain goes unheard, it seeps into the bones, becoming a part of us. It becomes the voice that whispers, "You can't rely on anyone," or "Love will only hurt you again." But he also offered hope. "I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become." Trauma, he taught, is not a life sentence. When we truly listen to our pain, when we stop running from it, it transforms. It becomes a teacher, a guide, a doorway to deeper understanding. The problem is, the world rarely teaches us how to listen. It praises productivity over presence, strength over vulnerability. So, those who've suffered too much learn to adapt. They build fortresses of self-reliance, perfect the art of seeming okay. They laugh, they work, they show up, but inside a part of them remains on guard, braced for the next blow, the next betrayal. You might see yourself in these words. Or maybe you're thinking of someone you love, someone whose quiet struggles suddenly make sense. This isn't about labeling or fixing. It's about seeing with softer eyes. Every behavior has a story. No trait emerges from nowhere. So if your chest tightens as you hear this, if your breath catches, that's okay. It's your soul recognizing its reflection. And that, as simple as it sounds, is where healing begins. Some people learn too young that depending on others is dangerous, that asking for help invites disappointment, that leaning on someone might mean falling when they step away. So the psyche does what it must to survive. It builds a fortress. The person becomes their own protector, their own provider, their own safe harbor. They grow fierce, capable, unshakable, but inside they're exhausted. Jung called this the persona. The mask we wear when showing our true face feels too risky. It's a shield, yes, but one that isolates. The world sees strength and praises it, not realizing it's a prison. Hyper-independence isn't freedom. It's loneliness dressed as resilience. The refusal to show pain becomes its own kind of pain. The inability to ask for comfort becomes a silent scream. This rigidity seeps into every relationship, every interaction. Life becomes a performance, controlled, polished, perfect. But the cost is steep. The body tenses, touch feels threatening, rest becomes a foreign concept. Even surrounded by love, the person feels alone, because hyper-independence isn't about not needing others. It's about fearing that needing them will destroy you. As Jung observed, Loneliness does not come from having no people around, but from being unable to communicate the things that seem important. The armor that once protected now suffocates. Then there are those who feel too much, too deeply. Their empathy isn't just a trait, it's a survival skill. They learned to read rooms as children, to sense shifts in mood before a storm hit. They became experts in anticipating chaos, soothing tempers, keeping peace at all costs. But this heightened sensitivity has a shadow. Jung called it projection, the act of seeing in others what we haven't faced in ourselves. Those who pour empathy into the world often do so to avoid confronting their own unmet pain. They become the listener, the fixer, the steady one, yet struggle to turn that care inward. It's a sacred exhaustion, this constant giving, and over time it hollows them out. Relationships tilt out of balance. They give, others take. They listen, others forget to ask. This kind of empathy isn't weakness. It's a superpower born of survival. But like all powers, it needs boundaries. Those who feel the world so intensely must learn to guard their energy as fiercely as they give it. Jung reminded us, "Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart." To heal, the empath must finally become the protagonist of their own story. Love, for those who've been wounded, is a battlefield. They crave connection but fear it. They long to trust but brace for betrayal. Every step toward intimacy feels like walking on glass. This isn't irrational, it's the body remembering. The unconscious, as Jung taught, holds memories the conscious mind has buried. A partner's harmless delay becomes proof of abandonment. A minor disagreement feels like the prelude to loss. The heart wants to open, but the psyche shouts, "Danger!" So they love in halves, close enough to feel warmth, but far enough to flee if needed. Yet here's the paradox. Those who guard their hearts the most often ache to love the deepest. Their walls aren't coldness, they're scars. Jung knew this tension well. The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. For the wounded lover, transformation requires courage. Not the courage to leap blindly, but to whisper, "This time might be different." Society praises the strong ones, those who never crack, never ask, never bend. But strength born of survival is a heavy cloak. The persona of invincibility hides exhaustion, the kind that seeps into bones. These individuals perform flawlessly, meeting every demand, silencing every cry for help. But behind the mask, fatigue festers. Breakdowns happen in private, tears muffled by shower water, sobs swallowed by pillows. Jung warned of the dangers of living solely through the persona. The brighter the light, the darker the shadow. When we deny our fragility, our shadows grow. True strength isn't about never falling. It's the willingness to say, "I'm not okay today," and to trust someone will stay. It's the courage to loosen the armor, thread by thread, and let the world see you, not as a hero, but as a human. Sensory overload haunts those with old wounds. Loud noises jar them, crowds drain them. Lights feel too bright, textures too sharp. This isn't hypersensitivity, it's the nervous system forever on alert. The body remembers what the mind tries to forget. Jung wrote, "The body is the visible spirit, the spirit the invisible body." Trauma embeds itself in our cells. A scent, a sound, a tone of voice can trigger waves of panic, not because the present is dangerous, but because the past still lives in the flesh. Healing begins when we stop dismissing these reactions as over the top. The racing heart, the shortened breath, they're messages. The body saying, "I remember, I'm still afraid." To calm it, we must listen, to say, "You're safe now. The storm passed." Control becomes a lifeline for those who've known chaos. Every detail planned, every outcome anticipated. It looks like discipline, but it's fear in disguise, the terror of reliving helplessness. Jung saw this clearly. The more you cling to control, the more life slips through your fingers. The controlling mind isn't powerful, it's exhausted. It's the child who once had no power, now overcompensating. Letting go isn't about surrendering to chaos. It's trusting that not every uncertainty is a threat, that sometimes life supports us in ways we can't predict. Silence becomes sacred for the wounded. Not the silence of loneliness, but the quiet of a soul regrouping. In a world that never stops shouting, stillness is rebellion. Jung honored this. Retreat is not defeat. It's the soul's way of gathering strength. Those who seek silence aren't rejecting the world, they're healing their place in it. But silence, over time, can calcify. What began as self-care becomes isolation. The challenge is to keep a door open, to let someone in who won't demand, judge, or rush. Someone who'll sit in the quiet with you, proof that solitude and connection can coexist. There's a quiet ache in those who fear being a burden, a belief that their needs are too heavy, their presence an inconvenience. They apologize for existing, for taking up space, for daring to feel. It's a silent script written in childhood, when tears were met with impatience or indifference. Jung understood this wound. Neurosis is always a substitute for legitimate suffering. The psyche, unable to process the original pain, twists it into guilt. The adult becomes a master of shrinking, of folding themselves smaller to fit into a world that once told them they were too much. But here's the truth. You don't have to earn the right to breathe. You don't owe the world an explanation for your weariness. Healing begins when you whisper, "I am allowed to need." Those who've suffered deeply often find solace in the smallest details, the steam rising from a morning cup, sunlight catching dust motes, the weight of a blanket on a quiet evening. It's not naivety, it's wisdom. Pain teaches the soul to cherish moments the world overlooks. Jung called this the gift of the sensitive, the ability to see the sacred in the mundane. After surviving storms, even a calm breeze feels like grace. The late afternoon light becomes a poem. A stranger's kindness feels like a miracle. These moments aren't escapes, they're anchors. They remind the wounded heart that beauty persists, that joy doesn't require grandeur. The creation of something new is not accomplished by the intellect, but by the play instinct, Jung wrote. To heal is to relearn play, to let the fractured self find wholeness in a rainstorm's rhythm or a child's laughter. But the deepest transformation lies in the search for purpose. Pain demands meaning. It refuses to be a senseless scar. Those who've endured too much often become guides for others, lost in the dark. They turn their wounds into lanterns. Jung saw this as the pinnacle of growth. The meaning of life is not invented, it is discovered. A survivor's purpose isn't about erasing the past, but alchemizing it. They write to mend the silence they were forced into. They hold space for others because they know the cost of loneliness. They parent their inner child while nurturing the world. This isn't martyrdom. It's rebirth. The psyche, once fractured, now hums with a quiet power, the kind that knows darkness intimately, but chooses to kindle light. Yet, this journey isn't linear. Some days the old fears resurge, the mind races, the body tenses, the world feels too loud. But now there's a difference. Awareness. The survivor knows these tremors are echoes, not prophecies. They've learned to say, "This is my history, not my destiny." Jung's words ring here. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Healing is the act of rewiring those old stories, of replacing "I must hide" with "I am safe," "I am too much" with "I am enough." You are not your pain, but you need not fear it either. Every trait born of suffering, The hypervigilance, the guarded heart, the relentless empathy was once a lifeline. Honor that. Thank those old survival mechanisms for keeping you alive, then gently tell them, you can rest now. The world may still spin chaotically, but you've learned to dance in the rain. You've discovered that scars are not flaws, they're proof of mending. If these words resonate, know you're not alone. The comment section awaits your story, your "My pain taught me too." Let it be a chorus of resilience, a testament to the human spirit's unyielding light. Subscribe not for answers, but for companionship on this winding path. And when the weight returns, as it sometimes will, revisit the little things, the warmth of your coffee, the sky's endless blue, the fact that you're still here, breathing, trying. That's no small feat. Jung's final truth whispers, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. You've already begun. Carry that truth softly. The road ahead is yours to walk, not as a prisoner of pain, but as a sculptor of meaning. Take care, not because you must, but because you deserve it. Deeply, fully, unapologetically.